So when you saw this word pop up on the screen, what kind of feelings did you get? Renewal. It holds an immediate appeal for most people. It brings to mind transformation, healing, goodness, hope, and many more things. It's so powerful that the advertising world has adopted it. If you watch commercials, most of them are promising renewal if you use their products. Especially the vitamin companies, the exercise companies, the clothing, the cologne and perfumes. Use this cologne. We're going to totally renew your life. You know, it's crazy. Car companies do it. You drive our car, your life experience is renewed. Renewal is powerful. We think that if something goes wrong with our bodies or in our life, that a renewal can fix it. What most of us don't realize is renewal is part of our life every single moment of every day. On the physical level, the emotional, the spiritual. It's something that whether we ask for it or not, whether we are aware of it or not, it's happening in our lives. To start with, it's a well-known fact that the cells in our body, on the physical level, the cells in our body replace themselves constantly. There are very few cells in your body right now that you were born with. Very few. Some cells take years to replace themselves. Some happen pretty quickly. The stomach and the stomach lining, the red blood corpuscles, skin, just a matter of weeks, they'll totally change out. Deepak Chopra wrote an article about this several years ago, and one of his examples of what this looks like is a house. Imagine a brick house sitting there, and the bricks are constantly coming and going. They're replacing themselves, interchanging, they're moving in and out all the time, but the house stays structurally sound. That's what's going on with our body. Deepak lined out 5 principles on how this works. And I think that it's important to understand these principles because we're going to get into how these same principles work to renew spiritually, to renew emotionally. The first one is cells live in the present. They can live no other place. They are present. They don't think about tomorrow. They don't think about yesterday. It's right here, right now. Cells cooperate with each other. Cells understand that the whole is greater than the parts, and they live for the whole. Excuse me. Cells are not afraid of death. Cells accept life as a process that never ends, and they do not resist flow. These principles come from the same source and pure awareness that governs everything in nature. It's not just the cells of our body that this is happening with. It's all of nature. These same principles offer renewal for our spiritual awareness as well. We know this awareness, this consciousness, to be God. This expansion of our understanding of God provides a deeper knowing of the process of renewal. And through this awareness, we more fully experience renewal. So the renewal is happening all the time, but if you're not aware of it and you're thinking only of the negative things, the things that are going wrong in your life, the things you're having problems with, the things that are stopping you, if that's all you're focusing on, that's all you're going to see. You're not going to understand this renewal is taking place. When you understand this renewal is taking place, you more readily open yourself to the fact that that may be a bad situation, but renewal is happening. Good is about to come. Good's already there, but this is our thought process. And as we start thinking differently, we start experiencing differently. That's what renewal is. It's a renewal of thought, a renewal of consciousness. We serve ourselves and the renewal process in our lives by opening more completely to the source of this renewal, to God's presence. We often wonder how we can get closer to God, how we can experience God more. We think that the renewal is going to get us there. What we have to remember is the only thing blocking this experience of God is our thought process, our belief system. As we open to the truth that we are one with God, we can experience all of this more fully. Now, one of the ways to do that is through meditation or stillness. When we are meditating, when we are in stillness, we are in the presence of God consciously. We're always in the presence of God. Always. But meditation and stillness allow us to be there consciously. Stillness is important because it allows us to be in this world but not occupied by it. It allows our thought processes, it allows our belief system, our consciousness, our awareness to be on God's presence. Every day is filled with an activity that can distract us, that pulls our focus away from the renewal process. You can awaken awareness to and embody the creative intelligence, that is God, that's within you and around you more fully when you awaken to this process. When you do experience this renewal process consciously, you'll notice that life, physically, emotionally, and spiritually, lift. We do this by using those 5 principles that we mentioned a little bit earlier, that when Deepak was talking about the cell renewal. We can use those same 5 principles consciously and elevate, accelerate, expand the renewal process that we perceive, that we understand. So living in the present, we've spoken these words many, many, many times here. We're constantly saying, live in the present. We need to carry that out. You know, we can say living in the present, but we're still thinking about yesterday. We're still thinking about what we're going to do this afternoon. How often do you just take time, slow down, and just be? Call it meditation. Call it going into stillness. Call it laziness. Call it whatever you want to call it. Sit down and just be. Open awareness to truth. Open awareness to the presence of God that is the expression of you. It's God expressing through you, as you. The simplest way to be present, just notice when you're not. You know, until we're aware that we're not one thing, it's very difficult to change into that thing that we want to be. If you're not present, it's very hard to become present if you're not thinking about it, if you're just letting your mind wander off and you're still worried about yesterday or tomorrow. So become aware of when you're not present and move back into presence, being. This is where the presence of God is noticeable and experienced fully. The next one of those principles was cooperation. You know, we think of cooperation often as being cooperation with other people, and it is. The most important thing, entity, whatever you want to call it, that we can cooperate with is God, followed by ourself. And since God and ourself is one, cooperating with the one that is infinite. It's learning how to speak through our thoughts or out loud, however you want to do it. It's learning how to listen, or receive might be a better word to say. And it's learning how to understand. You know, many of us pray words, and I think most people in this room, we've talked about it and I've hounded you enough that you probably do listen. The key is to really understand. Understand what you're hearing. Understand what this cooperation is bringing into your awareness, into your consciousness. The third principle that we can get from Deepak's talk is wholeness. You cannot do anything to make yourself more whole. Let me get that across to you now. You do not have to go have a laundry list of things to do out here or when you get home this afternoon to be more whole. You're already whole. Since you're one in God, God is whole, God is infinite. There is absolutely nothing that you're missing. You're whole. The thing is to open your awareness to it. You are merged into the stream of life, and everything that happens in collective consciousness includes understanding of your relationship in God. Everything that happens out there can be a lesson, can be an indicator, can be a reminder, can maybe even be something that you never have before been aware of, that all help you understand more deeply your relationship with God. Everything. That's what this stream of consciousness is. There is one mind. Therefore, every thought ever had is there. That stream of consciousness. So these things that happen around us are reminders or indicators that allow us to tune in, that invite us to tune in, to draw more from this life, to open our imaginations, to get creative in our thought process, all to expand awareness. In wholeness, you are constantly renewed. The field of infinite possibilities has something to offer you every moment. The next principle is immortality. Did you know fear of death is a human creation? We created that. It is our ego that has created that. There is an undeniable fact that at some point, each and every physical body says, I'm done. That's a fact. We know that. We know that from the time we were children. Yet it still scares us. The ego's search for immortality is fear-based. This fear comes across in many, many forms. One of them is limitation, one of them is separation, one of them is isolation. But it's all fear. It's a fear of death. Consciousness and existence, which is the foundation of who we are, of what our experience is immortal. It's eternal. Consciousness and existence are the source of immortality. In stillness, the mind settles down to the experience of pure awareness. And in that space, that place, however you want to refer to that experience, you are merged into the field of immortality. If you notice, when you go into mindfulness, when you go into consciousness, awareness, that fear of death is not present. In fact, no fear is present when you're there. That's how we're designed. We're designed to live that. Awareness of your freedom from death will expand as you practice stillness, as you practice present moment awareness, experience. Fear of death goes away. The last of the 5 principles was flow. Don't resist. We usually have knee-jerk reactions when something happens in our lives. Most of the time, something happens, thoughts. Those thoughts aren't always positive. They aren't always helpful. But it's resistance. So pause before you respond. Pause before you react. Witness and appreciate what is going on around you. The opposite of flow is resistance, and resistance is rooted in the need to defend yourself. That's where those knee-jerk reactions come from. It's that fight or flight instinct that causes this. Something happens, the first thing is to defend ourselves. Most of the time, if not every time, when we pause and really look at it, we realize I didn't really have to defend myself there. Everything was okay. It was just different than what I like to believe or different than I wanted to experience. But it wasn't something that we had to defend ourselves from. That reaction took us out of flow. It put us in resistance. So put into practice the habit of seeing what happens next without going to anger, fear, worn-out reactions and resistance. Pause. See what's really there. And then respond. Doesn't mean everything's going to be beautiful. Please don't hear me say that. It doesn't mean everything is going to be exactly the way you always wanted it to be. I'm not saying that. It simply means pause. Because in that defense, when you go into that defense mode, that's where you run into anger and stress, sadness, fear-based reactions. These principles need not be a burden to practice. It's not something that you have to go set up a to-do list. Okay, in this moment I'm going to live in the present, and then at 10 o'clock this morning I'm going to cooperate, and then at 11 o'clock I'm going to be whole. And all of these things already happen within you. The present moment is already within you. Cooperation's already there. Wholeness is already there. Immortality is already there. Flow is already there. It is opening our understanding of these things. Every single moment of every day, you are having a thought, or several. Redirect your thoughts. Renew your thoughts. And think in alignment with these principles. It doesn't require a laundry list of things to do. It simply requires awareness. You experience these principles through a reconditioning of your thoughts. When you change your thoughts to align with these principles, you realize these principles naturally occur in your experience. So once again, it's not that you realize wholeness and, oh, I've got to be more whole. No. Your wholeness is full. It is complete. It is already available within you. It's opening awareness to it. And as you practice this, your awareness opens further. These principles, this practice, this awareness, if you will, it creates a real breakthrough when you look at these 5 principles. You realize that you are connected to renewal naturally and effortlessly. All you need to do is to let the process of renewal to become part of your outlook on life. It's opening awareness to it. The process is not something that you must do to cause. You don't have to do anything to start it. There's not a trigger that you have to pull and all of a sudden these principles go to work. It's already there, already going. It is something that you must simply open awareness to and allow. Your consciousness is the tool at the center of every one of these principles. No matter how you perceive your life so far, no matter how you perceive your physical or your spiritual condition, renewal is already present within you. You don't have to fix this for that to happen. It's just adjusting your thought process. Again, you don't have a series of acts that you must do. It's simply awareness, recognition, and allowing. Opening awareness to this truth, opening awareness to the constant reconditioning of every aspect of your being, which is simply changing your thoughts about it. Expands consciousness. It expands awareness. It expands your realization of the renewal in you. And that is something to celebrate. So open your awareness, open your consciousness, and join me as we close in prayer. Father God, knowing divine wisdom, intelligence, and knowledge are infinite, we recognize divine renewal in every moment of our life. We realize that it is everywhere present. We realize that it is all-knowing. We realize that it is all-powerful. We know this to mean that all of this is occurring within us right now and always. Open our minds and our hearts to expand our understanding of the renewal within. Open our minds and hearts to more fully understand the wisdom, intelligence, and knowledge that is already available to us. We are so grateful this renewal is within and available. Our prayer is that we remember the precious gift and expand our awareness and understanding of renewal, that we may more fully realize it in our lives. We embrace divine renewal. We embrace divine mind. We embrace truth. For all this and more, we are grateful. And so it is. Amen.